You ever felt like someone tried to break you, but instead they made you stronger? What if I told you that your pain had a purpose, and your comeback is the very thing they never saw coming? That's right. God sent you into their life as a warning. You were there to show them love, light, and truth. But they didn't listen. Instead, they hurt you, used you, and underestimated you. But guess what? That's about to change. Because when God's chosen ones rise, their enemies fall. And your rise, it's going to be their biggest regret and their worst karma. You see, the narcissist thought you'd stay broken. They thought you'd never recover. But you're not just coming back. You're coming back stronger, wiser, and more powerful than ever. And they won't be able to ignore it. In this video, we're going deep. We'll talk about why your comeback is so powerful, why the narcissist never saw it coming, and how God is using you for something bigger. So stay with me till the end, because you don't want to miss a second of this powerful message. And hey, if you feel this message in your soul, show some love. Join our community by hitting that like button, subscribing, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Let's support each other on this journey of healing and growth. Together we rise. Ready? Let's get into it. Sometimes the people who come into our lives aren't just there by chance. They're part of something bigger, something we may not even understand right away. If you're one of the chosen ones, your presence carries a purpose. You don't just enter someone's life. You bring light, truth, and wisdom. And when you crossed paths with the narcissist, it wasn't random. It was part of a divine mission. God placed you in their life as a lesson and a warning. You were there to show them love, patience, and kindness, things they may have never truly known. You tried to help them grow, to guide them toward healing, and to show them a better way, but instead of appreciating you, they rejected you. They mistook your kindness for weakness and your patience for something they could take advantage of. And here's where the truth gets powerful. You weren't sent to them because you were weak. You were sent because you were strong enough to handle it. You were the mirror reflecting their toxic behavior, showing them the things they needed to change. But instead of listening, they ignored the warning. They kept hurting you, thinking there would be no consequence. But when God sends a warning, it's not something to take lightly. The way they treated you wasn't just a reflection of their character. It was a test. And when they failed that test, they set themselves up for the consequences, because when chosen ones walk away, they take their light with them. And without that light, the narcissist is left with their own darkness. Your presence was never random. It was a part of something bigger, a mission filled with purpose. And even if they didn't listen, your role in their life was never in vain. The narcissist thought they had you all figured out. They saw your kindness, your patience, your willingness to forgive, and they assumed it meant you were weak. They believed they could treat you any way they wanted, and you'd always stay. They thought you needed them more than they needed you. But oh, how wrong they were. What they didn't see was the strength behind your kindness. They didn't realize that your patience wasn't fear, it was grace. You weren't staying because you were weak. You were staying because you had hope. You believed in their potential, in their ability to change. You gave them chances, not because you were desperate, but because your heart is big enough to offer love even when it's not returned. But every heart has its limit. And when you finally walked away, it wasn't out of anger, it was out of self-respect. That's when the real power inside you began to shine. You didn't crumble when they tried to break you. You didn't fall apart when they left you empty. Instead, you rose, stronger, wiser, more unstoppable than ever before, and now they're confused. They never expected you to glow without them. They never thought you'd find your strength in their absence. But here you are, thriving, healing, and growing into the person you were always meant to be. The power you carried inside you was always there. They just never took the time to see it. And now that they've lost you, they finally realize what they underestimated. But it's too late. Because the person they thought was weak has become the person they'll never be strong enough to control again. It didn't feel fair, did it? The way they hurt you, the lies, the betrayal, the way they broke your heart without a second thought. You gave them love, patience, and understanding, and in return they gave you pain. But what if I told you that pain had a purpose? What if every tear you cried was shaping you into something stronger, something unstoppable? God doesn't waste pain. Every time they rejected you, every time they made you feel small, God was using it to build you up. It didn't happen overnight. You had moments where you felt lost, moments where you questioned your worth. But even in those moments, something powerful was happening. Your heart was learning resilience. Your mind was gaining wisdom. Your spirit was being refined like gold in fire. The heartbreak you went through wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to transform you. That pain taught you boundaries. It taught you self-respect. It showed you the difference between those who truly love you and those who just want to use you. And most importantly, it brought you closer to God. When no one else understood your pain, He did. When others turned their backs, He stayed. And now look at you. You're rising from the ashes of everything they tried to break. The strength you carry isn't just from survival, it's from transformation. You're becoming the version of yourself that God always intended you to be. Wiser, bolder, more powerful. Every betrayal, every heartbreak was part of your training. And now, you're stepping into your purpose. The people who hurt you thought they were breaking you. But all they did was help shape the unstoppable force you're becoming. And the world hasn't even seen your full power yet. You didn't come into their life by accident. You were sent with a purpose, to be a mirror. Without even trying, you reflected their true self back at them. Your kindness exposed their cruelty. Your patience revealed their impatience. Your love made their lack of love impossible to ignore. And instead of seeing this as a chance to grow, they saw it as a threat. The truth you carried was too much for them. When they looked at you, they saw everything they needed to fix in themselves, and they hated you for it. They weren't ready to face their own darkness, so they made you the enemy. They called you too sensitive, too emotional, too demanding, but the reality is you were never asking for too much. You were just asking for what they weren't willing to give. Here's the part they didn't understand. God sent you as a warning. Your presence was an opportunity for them to change, to heal, to become better. But instead of taking that chance, they attacked you. They tried to dim your light because it made their shadows more obvious. They tried to silence your voice because it spoke the truth they didn't want to hear. But ignoring a warning doesn't make the consequences disappear. By pushing you away, they pushed away their own chance for growth. And when you finally walked away, they were left with nothing but the reflection of their own brokenness, the lessons they refused to learn through love. They'll learn through loss. You were never the problem. You were the mirror they were too afraid to look into. And now they're facing the reality of what happens when you ignore a warning from God. Sometimes the pain of rejection feels unbearable. When someone you love mistreats you, when they push you away, make you feel unwanted, or treat you like you're not enough. It cuts deep. You wonder what you did wrong, why your love wasn't enough, and why they couldn't see your worth. But what if I told you that their rejection was never about your worth? What if their mistreatment was actually the push you needed to step into your true calling? It doesn't feel like it in the moment. When they ignore you, betray you, or walk away without looking back, it feels like loss. But sometimes rejection is God's way of redirecting you towards something greater. If they had treated you right, you might have stayed in a place too small for your spirit. You might have kept shrinking yourself to fit into their version of love. But you weren't meant to stay small. You were meant to grow, to thrive, to step into the powerful purpose God created for you. Their mistreatment was painful, but it woke you up. Every time they belittled your dreams, you learned to believe in yourself a little more. Every time they dismissed your feelings, you realized the importance of honoring your own emotions. Every time they made you feel unworthy, you found strength in knowing your value comes from God, not from their approval. And when they finally pushed you too far, when you walked away or were forced to leave, that's when the transformation truly began. You stopped waiting for their validation and started building your own foundation. You poured your energy into healing, into growth, into discovering the person you were always meant to be. Their rejection became your redirection, and you started walking the path you were always destined for. Here's the truth. God doesn't remove people from your life without a reason. Sometimes He closes doors to protect you from staying in places that would destroy your spirit. And sometimes those painful goodbyes are the very thing that pushes you toward your breakthrough. Look at you now. You're not the same person who tolerated their mistreatment. You're wiser, stronger, and more focused. You've stepped into your power, and you're becoming everything they said you couldn't be. Their rejection didn't break you, it built you. And while they're still stuck in their toxic patterns, you're rising higher than ever before. So if you're still hurting, if the pain of their rejection feels fresh, take heart. This isn't your ending, it's your beginning. One day, you'll look back and realize their mistreatment was the best thing that ever happened to you, because it set you free. And now nothing can stop you from becoming the person you were always meant to be. They never thought you'd make it without them. They believed that by breaking you down, through their words, their actions, their coldness, you'd stay defeated. They thought their rejection would leave you stuck, questioning your worth, too shattered to rise. But they didn't know who they were dealing with, because you did rise. Every time they underestimated you, they fueled your strength. Every time they tried to make you feel small, they pushed you closer to your purpose. Their mistreatment forced you to dig deep, to find a power within yourself that even you didn't know existed. And now, you're thriving in ways they never imagined. Here's the thing about karma. It doesn't always come the way people expect. For the narcissist, your comeback is the very consequence they never saw coming. They expected you to stay broken, but instead, you became unstoppable. They thought you'd chase them for validation, but instead you learned to validate yourself. They assumed you needed their love to feel whole, but in their absence, you discovered a love so powerful, your own. And now they're watching. They see you glowing. They see you healing, succeeding, becoming everything they tried to convince you you'd never be. And it burns them. Not because they care, but because your rise is a reminder of everything they lost. They lost someone who loved them selflessly. They lost someone who believed in them even when they didn't deserve it. They lost a mirror that reflected not only their flaws but also their potential, a potential they refused to reach. Your comeback is their worst karma because it shows them the truth. They didn't break you, they made you. And now the only thing they can do is watch you shine. from a distance. There's a certain kind of power in silence, a strength that speaks louder than any words ever could. When someone mistreats you, the natural instinct is often to defend yourself, to explain, to fight back. But when you choose to walk away without a word, without seeking revenge, it delivers a blow far greater than any confrontation ever would. That's because narcissists thrive on your reaction. They feed off your pain, your anger, your need for closure. When you argue, when you beg, when you try to make them see the damage they've caused, it gives them exactly what they want: control. But when you choose silence, when you choose distance, you take that power back. Walking away without looking back shows them something they never expected, that their words and actions no longer have a hold on you. They wanted you to stay hurt, stay confused, stay attached. But your silence shows your growth. It shows that you've risen above their chaos, that their games no longer affect you, and that destroys their ego. Because here's the truth: narcissists hate being ignored. They need attention. Whether it's love or hate, they crave the energy you give them. But when you go silent, when you distance yourself, you cut off their supply. They're left alone with their own reflection, forced to face the emptiness they tried to fill by controlling you. Your silence becomes the loudest message of all. It says, "I don't need your validation. I don't need your approval. I am whole without you." And that's a truth they can't handle. So if you ever wonder whether walking away was the right choice, remember this: your silence is your strength. Your distance is your power. And the peace you found, that's the ultimate revenge. Pain has a way of breaking you open. But sometimes that's exactly what's needed for true transformation. When the people you trusted hurt you, when the love you gave was taken for granted, and when you were left feeling empty and alone, that's when the real journey began. Because in that darkness, you didn't just find pain, you found God. It's often through our deepest heartbreak that we experience our greatest spiritual awakening. When the world turns its back on you, when the people you loved walk away, you're left with no choice but to turn inward and upward. And in that stillness, in that silence, you hear His voice more clearly than ever before. Every tear you cried became a prayer. Every moment of loneliness drew you closer to His presence. You began to see that the rejection you faced wasn't a punishment, it was a redirection. God was removing what wasn't meant for you, clearing the path for something greater. And through that pain, you gained wisdom. You learned discernment. You realized that not everyone deserves access to your heart. But more than that, your faith became unshakable. Because when everything fell apart, God remained. When people betrayed you, He stayed faithful. And as you healed, you started to see the purpose behind the pain, the strength you have now. It was built through those battles, the wisdom you carry. It came from those wounds. Your spiritual awakening wasn't just about survival. It was about transformation. You became more grounded, more focused, more aligned with your purpose. And the closer you grew to God, the more you realized that the pain you endured was never in vain. It shaped you into the powerful, faithful, unstoppable force you are today. There comes a moment when everything shifts, when the tables turn and those who doubted you, mistreated you, and underestimated you finally see the truth. It's not just about your comeback, it's about God's elevation. And when He lifts you up, it's undeniable. The same people who tried to break you will have no choice but to watch you rise. They'll see you thriving in ways they never thought possible. They'll hear your name in places they never imagined you'd reach. And the most powerful part, you won't even need to say a word. God's favor will speak for you. But this isn't about revenge. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about God's plan being fulfilled. See, when they mistreated you, they thought they were hurting you, but they were only pushing you closer to your destiny. Every rejection, every betrayal, every time they counted you out, it was all preparation. God was using their actions to shape you, strengthen you, and set you apart. And now they're realizing what they lost. They lost someone rare, someone loyal, kind, and irreplaceable. They see the glow you carry, the peace you've found, and the success you've stepped into. But what hurts them the most is knowing they no longer have access to you. When God elevates you, it's not just a rise, it's a revelation. It reveals the strength they overlooked, the love they took for granted, and the power they never saw coming. And as you continue to grow, remember this: your success is not just your victory, it's God's testimony. So stand tall, keep shining, because your elevation is only just beginning, and the best is yet to come. When you walked away, they thought that was the end. They believed you would crumble without them. They expected you to struggle, to lose yourself, to come running back, desperate for their approval. But what happened instead? You flourished, you healed, you leveled up in ways they never imagined. And now they can't stop watching, even after everything they did, after the way they discarded you like you didn't matter. They're still keeping tabs on you. Why? Because they never truly believed you would rise without them. They underestimated your strength, your resilience, your ability to rebuild from the ground up. They thought they were the source of your happiness, the reason for your success. But now, as they see you thriving without them, they're left in shock, and they can't look away. The obsession. They never admit. They won't tell you they're watching. They won't admit that they're stalking your social media, asking about you, lurking in the shadows of your success. But they are. Because deep down, they need to know. How did you do it? How did you move on so effortlessly? How did you transform after all they put you through? The truth is, narcissists and toxic people never expect their victims to heal. They thrive on control, on the belief that you'll always be trapped in the pain they caused. But when you rise, when you show them that their betrayal was the very thing that pushed you toward your greatness, it shatters their illusion of power. They wanted you broken, but you became unstoppable. They thought breaking you down would keep you small. They thought the lies, the manipulation, the betrayal would leave you too wounded to ever find your way back to yourself. But what they didn't realize is that every wound became a lesson. Every tear you shed watered the soil for your growth. Every painful experience refined you, making you stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable than ever before. Now, as they see you stepping into your purpose, glowing with a new level of confidence, they are forced to face the reality. They lost something irreplaceable. Watching you is their unspoken regret. It doesn't matter if they act unbothered. It doesn't matter if they pretend they've moved on. The fact remains, they wouldn't still be watching if they didn't care. The more you rise, the more they regret how they treated you. They start to wonder, what if they had valued you? What if they had appreciated your love, your kindness, your loyalty? What if they had been different? But now it's too late. And that's the beauty of your glow up. It's not about revenge. It's not about proving anything to them. It's about stepping fully into the person you were always meant to be. The person they tried to keep from shining. Your glow up is your victory. The greatest revenge is not anger. It's not getting even. It's not even calling them out. The greatest revenge is success, peace, and happiness. It's waking up every day with a heart full of gratitude, knowing that everything they put you through only made you stronger. It's building a life so fulfilling that their absence is nothing but a distant memory. And that's why they keep watching, because they see you winning, and it eats them up inside. They see you surrounded by love, by new opportunities, by the very things they tried to take away from you. And they know, deep down, that they had a chance to be part of your journey, but they destroyed it with their own hands. Keep rising, they'll keep watching. So let them watch, let them sit in their regret while you continue to elevate. You owe them nothing, not an explanation, not closure, not even a response. The past is done, and your future is brighter than ever. Because in the end, the best thing you ever did wasn't leaving them. It was becoming everything they never thought you could be. There's something incredible about the way pain can shape us, if we let it. When life knocks you down, when people betray you, when everything you thought was solid crumbles, you have two choices. You can stay broken or you can rise. And you? You chose to rise. But this wasn't just a comeback, this was a transformation. You didn't just heal, you evolved. You took every ounce of pain and turned it into power. Every tear you cried watered the roots of your growth. Every heartbreak carved out space for wisdom. Every rejection pushed you closer to your true purpose. The people who hurt you thought they were destroying you. They believed their betrayal would break you for good. But what they didn't know was that their cruelty was shaping you into something unstoppable. You didn't just survive, you thrived. And now you stand as living proof that what was meant to destroy you only made you stronger. Strength born from struggle. The strength you carry today wasn't handed to you. It was earned. It was built in the quiet moments when no one was watching, when you were picking up the pieces of your broken heart. It came from the nights you cried yourself to sleep and the mornings you still got up and faced the day. Every time someone underestimated you, every time they tried to silence your voice or dim your light, you grew stronger. You learned how to stand on your own. You discovered the power of your own resilience. And now there's nothing they can do to shake you. Wisdom forged in pain. Pain has a way of teaching lessons comfort never could. Through your struggles, you gained a clarity and wisdom that few people ever reach. You learned to recognize red flags, to set boundaries, and to protect your peace. You stopped settling for less because you finally understood your worth. The people who hurt you taught you exactly what you don't deserve, and in the process, you learned how to love yourself better. That wisdom? It's priceless. It's the foundation of the life you're building, a life rooted in self-respect, purpose, and peace. Success fueled by every setback. Here's the part they never saw coming: your success. They thought your pain would paralyze you, but it propelled you. Every setback became motivation. Every no made you more determined. Every closed door pushed you to create your own opportunities. Now you're rising in ways they never expected. You're stepping into your calling, walking with confidence and building the life you always deserved. And the best part? You did it without them. Your transformation is your power. This isn't just a glow-up, right? It's a complete transformation. You're not the same person they mistreated. You're wiser, stronger, and more focused than ever before. The pain they caused didn't break you, it built you. And now your success stands as undeniable proof of your power. So keep rising, keep evolving, because this is just the beginning. When people hurt you without remorse, when they lie, manipulate, and betray you, it can feel like they're getting away with it. You watch them move on with their lives like nothing happened, while you're left picking up the pieces. But don't be fooled. God's justice may not always be immediate, but it is inevitable. The thing about God's timing is that it's perfect. He sees everything, the lies they told, the pain they caused, the love you gave that they took for granted. And while it might seem like they're thriving now, their refusal to change is only setting them up for a harder fall, because when you choose to walk in pride, cruelty, and selfishness, there is always a price to pay. The delayed consequence. One of the most dangerous things a person can believe is that they can treat others poorly and face no consequences. When they hurt you and faced no immediate backlash, they thought they were untouchable. They mistook God's patience for permission, but God's patience is grace, an opportunity for them to reflect, repent, and change. And when they refuse that grace, when they continue in their toxic ways without remorse, they write their own downfall. The longer they ignore the warning signs, the harder that fall will be when it finally comes. The weight of their own choices. Every action has consequences. Every time they chose manipulation over honesty, pride over humility, and selfishness over love, they were building their own destruction. God doesn't need you to seek revenge because their own behavior is already working against them. You see, the longer they refuse to change, the more damage they do, not just to others, but to themselves. Their relationships become shallow, their lives lack true peace, and the emptiness they try to hide grows deeper. And eventually it all comes crashing down. Why you don't need to watch their fall. It's tempting to wait for their karma, to want to see them face the consequences of their actions. But your focus shouldn't be on their downfall. It should be on your growth. God's justice isn't just about their fall. It's about your rise. As they continue to refuse change, you continue to evolve. As they remain stuck in their toxic cycles, you step into your purpose. Their refusal to change only highlights the transformation happening in you. And that's the greatest justice of all. Trust God's timing. You don't need to seek revenge. You don't need to prove your worth. Just keep walking your path, knowing that God's justice is working behind the scenes. And when their fall comes, you won't even need to watch because you'll be too busy rising. There's something special about the energy you carry. Something rare, something powerful. It's the kindness in your heart, the warmth in your presence, the way you love and support people without asking for anything in return. And the narcissist saw that. From the moment they met you, they knew you were different. They knew you had something they didn't, and they wanted it. But they didn't want to cherish or appreciate your light. They wanted to use it. Your energy became their supply. Your kindness fed their ego. Your support made them feel powerful. Your love filled the emptiness inside them, and the whole time they kept taking and taking, never once thinking about what it was costing you. You were their source of power. Narcissists don't create their own happiness. They steal it from others. They thrive on control, admiration, and attention. And when they found you, they found the perfect source. Your empathy made you an easy target. Your willingness to forgive kept them coming back. And your light gave them a sense of importance they couldn't find anywhere else. They drained your energy because they didn't know how to create their own. They mistook your love for weakness and your patience for permission. But what they never realized was that their power only existed because you allowed them access to your light. The void you left behind. When you finally walked away, something shifted. They didn't just lose a person, and they lost their supply. The constant validation, the unwavering support, the gentle love away, and it was gone. And without it, they were left with themselves. And here's the thing about narcissists. They don't like what they see when they're alone. Without your light to mask their darkness, they're forced to face the emptiness they've been running from. The confidence they projected, it starts to crumble. The charm they used to draw people in, it fades. And the power they felt, It disappears. Why they can't let go. Even after you leave, they keep watching, they keep lurking. They may even try to come back. Why? Because your energy was like a drug, and they're addicted. They never expected you to glow without them. They thought breaking you would make you stay. But when you rose, when you healed, when you started shining brighter than ever, they realized just how much they lost. But by then, it was too late. Because now, your light belongs to you, and they'll never have access to it again. When you finally walked away from the narcissist, it wasn't easy. You had poured your heart into them, given them your love, your time, your energy, only to be met with manipulation, betrayal, and pain. They made you question your worth, your value, and sometimes even your sanity. But the day you chose yourself, the day you cut them off, everything began to change. At first, the silence felt heavy. The absence of their chaos was strange, but slowly that silence turned into peace. And in that peace, something beautiful happened. You started hearing your own voice again. You began to remember who you were before they tried to tear you down. Finding clarity in the distance. One of the greatest gifts of walking away is clarity. When you're caught up in a toxic relationship, it's hard to see just how much damage it's doing. You're constantly walking on eggshells, trying to keep the peace, trying to prove your love. And in the process, you lose sight of yourself. But once the noise is gone, the truth becomes clear. You start to see how much you were giving and how little you were receiving. You realize the love you were offering was never truly appreciated, and you begin to understand that their mistreatment wasn't a reflection of your worth. It was a reflection of their brokenness. Rebuilding your sense of self-worth. As you distance yourself from their toxicity, you start rebuilding. You remember your strength, your kindness, your wisdom. You recognize the value of your love and the rarity of your light, and most importantly, you stop settling for less than you deserve. Self-love isn't just about treating yourself well. It's about setting boundaries and refusing to accept anything that diminishes your spirit. By cutting them off, you sent a powerful message. I deserve better. And every day you choose your peace over their drama, you reinforce that message. The peace that comes with letting go. There's a kind of peace that comes when you stop trying to fix people who don't want to change. When you stop justifying mistreatment and start protecting your energy, you create space for healing. You realize that love shouldn't hurt, and being with someone shouldn't require you to shrink yourself. And as that peace settles in, you begin to glow differently. You walk with more confidence. You speak with more clarity. You love yourself with a depth you never knew was possible. The power of choosing. You cutting them off wasn't just about ending a toxic relationship. It was about choosing you. It was about reclaiming your power, rediscovering your worth, and stepping into the life you deserve. And as you continue to rise, know this: the love you've been giving to others, it's time to give it to yourself. Everything you've been through wasn't just for survival. It was for transformation. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the moments when you felt unseen and unappreciated, none of it was wasted. It was preparation. And now that you've stepped into your comeback, you need to understand one thing. This is only the beginning. Your rise isn't just about proving people wrong. It's not about showing the narcissist what they lost or making anyone regret how they treated you. Your comeback is so much bigger than that. It's about stepping into the purpose God has been shaping you for all along. The season of preparation. When you were in pain, you may have wondered why God allowed you to go through so much. But what you didn't see at the time was how that pain was shaping you. It was teaching you resilience. It was building your wisdom. It was refining your spirit. Every time someone underestimated you, God was strengthening you. Every time they broke your heart, God was healing you in ways that made you wiser and more powerful. And now, as you step into this new chapter of your life, you carry lessons that only experience could teach. The power of your transformation. Look at how far you've come. The person you are today isn't just a survivor. You're a warrior. You've turned pain into purpose and heartbreak into growth. Your strength is undeniable, your wisdom is deep, and your faith is unshakable. But here's the thing. God didn't bring you this far just to leave you here. Your comeback isn't the end of your story. It's the foundation for something even greater. The doors that are about to open, the blessings that are coming your way, and the purpose you're about to walk in. This is what you were being prepared for all along. The road ahead. As you rise, stay focused. Don't get distracted by the people watching from the sidelines. Don't waste energy trying to prove anything to those who doubted you. What's ahead of you is far more important than what's behind you. God is taking you places you never imagined. He's aligning opportunities, connections, and blessings that will blow your mind. And everything you went through, it was necessary to prepare you for the weight of the greatness you're about to carry. This is just the start. Your glow up, your success, your healing, it's only the first step. God is still working, still shaping, still elevating you. So stay ready, stay focused, and most of all, stay faithful. Because what's coming next, it's bigger than you ever dreamed. The journey of a chosen one is never easy. You are called to walk a path of light, wisdom, and strength. But that path often takes you through the darkest of places. When you crossed paths with the narcissist, it was no accident. You were sent into their life for a divine purpose, a lesson they desperately needed but refused to learn. God made you a mirror, reflecting back their toxicity, their insecurities, and their need for control. But instead of facing their reflection, they attacked you. They tried to break you because your light exposed their darkness. But here's the truth. Their rejection, their betrayal, and their mistreatment were never about your worth. They were about their fear. The narcissist saw your kindness and mistook it for weakness. They underestimated the power you carried because they couldn't comprehend the strength of someone who doesn't need to manipulate or destroy others to feel whole. They believed they could dim your light, but they only fueled your fire. Every heartbreak you endured, every tear you shed, was shaping you into the unstoppable force you were destined to become. God was using that pain to elevate you, to prepare you for a purpose far greater than you could have imagined. And now your comeback is their worst karma. They never thought you'd rise after the way they tried to break you, but here you are, stronger, wiser, and more radiant than ever. The beauty of your journey lies in your transformation. You walked away without seeking revenge because you knew your silence and distance were more powerful than any words or actions. And in that space you found yourself. You rediscovered your self-worth, your peace, and your connection with God. You turned your pain into wisdom and your heartbreak into a foundation for success. And now, the very person who tried to destroy you watches from the shadows, obsessed with the glow-up they never saw coming. But this comeback, it's just the beginning. God isn't finished with you yet. Every step forward you take is a step closer to the incredible destiny awaiting you. And while the narcissist watches, you rise, not for them, but for yourself, for the divine mission you were always meant to fulfill. The journey of a chosen one is never easy, but it's one of greatness. You are called to walk a path of light, wisdom, and strength, and that path often takes you through the darkest of places. When you crossed paths with the narcissist, it was never a coincidence. You were sent into their life for a divine purpose, a lesson they desperately needed but refused to learn. God made you a mirror, reflecting back their toxicity, their insecurities, and their need for control. But instead of facing their reflection, they attacked you. They tried to break you because your light exposed their darkness. But here's the truth. Their rejection, their betrayal, and their mistreatment were never about your worth. They were about their fear. The narcissist saw your kindness and mistook it for weakness. They underestimated the power you carried because they couldn't comprehend the strength of someone who doesn't need to manipulate or destroy others to feel whole. They believed they could dim your light, but they only fueled your fire. Every heartbreak you endured, every tear you shed, was shaping you into the unstoppable force you were always meant to become. God was using that pain to elevate you, to prepare you for a purpose far greater than you could have imagined. And now your comeback is their worst karma. They never thought you'd rise after the way they tried to break you. But here you are, stronger, wiser, and more radiant than ever. The beauty of your journey lies in your transformation. You walked away without seeking revenge because you knew your silence and distance were more powerful than any words or actions. And in that space you found yourself. You rediscovered your self-worth, your peace, and your connection with God. You turned your pain into wisdom and your heartbreak into a foundation for success. And now, the very person who tried to destroy you watches from the shadows, obsessed with the glow-up they never saw coming. But this comeback, it's just the beginning. God isn't finished with you yet. Every step forward you take is a step closer to the incredible destiny awaiting you. You are stepping into the greatness you were always destined for. The pain was never wasted. It was your preparation. And while the narcissist watches, you rise. Not for them, but for yourself. For the divine mission you were always meant to fulfill. Keep rising, keep shining, and never let anyone dim the light God placed within you. The best is yet to come. But this comeback? It's just the beginning. God isn't finished with you yet. Every step forward you take is a step closer to the incredible destiny awaiting you. You are stepping into the greatness you were always destined for. The pain was never wasted. It was your preparation. And while the narcissist watches, you rise. Not for them, but for yourself. For the divine mission you were always meant to fulfill. Keep rising, keep shining, and never let anyone dim the light God placed within you. The best is yet to come.